A museum will return the skull of a native child to tribe leaders. Meanwhile, there's a renewed push to put the Ten Commandments in public schools. A Birdtown, Pennsylvania is in the midst of a battle, and an organ will play its final notes at an iconic department store this weekend. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. In the 1800s, a doctor named Paul Swift moved his practice from Massachusetts to Philadelphia, bringing the skull of a native Wabanaki child with him, reports Philly Voice. The skull was eventually given to the Penn Museum at the University of Pennsylvania, which now intends to return the child's remains to an organization in Maine that represents the state's 4 federally recognized tribes. A notice was filed Wednesday by the Federal Register, which is the daily journal of the federal government, stating how the museum confirmed that the remains have a cultural affiliation that meet the criteria for repatriation under the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. The child's remains are expected to be returned on or after April 18th. There's a renewed push to require the display of the Ten Commandments in public schools statewide, reports the Erie Times News. On Tuesday, State Representative Stephanie Borowitz introduced legislation in a co-sponsorship memo which seeks to, quote, affirm the God-given constitutional right to display a copy of the Ten Commandments within our Commonwealth schools. Similarly, State Senator Doug Mastriano last week introduced the Creation of Law in Our Schools Act, which would require schools to do the same, and to display the Declaration of Independence as well as the U.S. and Pennsylvania constitutions in order to, quote, restore historical knowledge, promote civic responsibility, and preserve our heritage. Courts have, historically and frequently, ruled against these types of motions on the grounds that they violate the religious rights of people who oppose such displays. Pennsylvania isn't alone in this type of legislation popping up either. Such bills have recently been introduced in more than a dozen other states. It was a little under a year ago that Carlisle accepted the designation of a, quote, Birdtown, Pennsylvania, unquote, community, making it one of 64 total in the state, states PennLive. Basically, being a bird town means that officials are committed to doing what they can to keep the area habitable and hospitable to our feathered friends. But now the area is embroiled in a battle with one such feathered creature, the turkey vulture. The town has been under siege by a growing flock of the bird, which has been damaging property, leaving droppings all over the place, leading to concerns of possible disease, and roosting by the dozens on trees and buildings alike. The Borough Council recently unanimously voted to start formulating a plan to kick the birds out. In 1911, the store at 13th and Market Streets in Philadelphia was called Wanamaker's, says Billy Penn. Most people now know it as a Macy's, although the famous organ that still stands in there is to this day called the Wanamaker organ. Sadly, the future of the building is up in the air, as Macy's will officially be closing the store on Sunday after a 20-year run. People can head to the store tomorrow to hear the organ being played for free for the last time in the department store. These performances will start at 9 a.m. and last for 30 minutes each, all the way till 6:30 p.m. We made it to Friday, all. To stay up to date over the weekend, take a peep at PennLive.com. Also, please don't forget to rate this podcast and to share it around with people you think would dig it too. Thanks in advance, and as always, thanks for sticking with us. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll see you Monday for some more Today in PA.